think about a lot of things in our lives, right? But I'm guessing we don't spend a lot of time thinking about dying, or we try not to, right? Well, in his new book, In My Time of Dying, author Sebastian Junger takes us through his near-death experience from a medical emergency and now what it makes him think about the afterlife. Sebastian is speaking tonight at Town Hall. But first, he is on the couch here with us. Welcome to New Day. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk about this. Can we just start with the medical emergency that almost killed you?
Yeah, I was a war reporter for many years, and I stopped that. I came home. I thought I was safe. I'm a very healthy man. And I had an artery that ruptured in my abdomen. It's kind of a freak thing.
Which nobody thinks, I never even thought that could happen.
Me neither, right?
Okay,
and
so this happened.
I felt this pain in my abdomen. Oh, what's that? And then I was bleeding out into my own abdomen as if someone had stabbed me.
Oh my gosh.
Except I was bleeding inside my body. I lost 2/3 of my blood, and then over the next hour and a half, it took me a long time to get to the hospital. I was in a very remote area.
Yeah.
And so by the time I got there, I was, 10, 15 minutes from dead, something like that.
Oh my gosh, you were almost gone.
I was almost gone.
Wow. Like you mentioned, you were a war correspondent. You've also written about death. By the way, he wrote the book, The Perfect Storm. You may have heard of this. So, having been surrounded by death, dying, did you ever give any thought to the afterlife before this moment?
I've been in lots of close calls in combat, bullets hitting near my head, et cetera. I was blown up by an IED. I never thought of, I'm an atheist, right? No, I never thought about the afterlife until now. And, I'm still, the jury's out, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to sort of jump in and say, yeah, we get to float on forever. That's not what I think at all.
Right.
But what I will say is that as I was dying, in those last minutes, the doctor was putting a needle through my neck into my jugular to transfuse me. And I'm conscious, of course.
Oh my
I'm
God.
talking with him. And as that happened, this black pit opened up underneath me. And I started getting pulled into it, and I was scared. I had no idea I was dying, but I didn't want to go into the pit. I was like a wounded animal. And my dead father appeared above me to comfort me and to say, it's okay, you can come with me, I'll take care of you. He was an atheist, he was a physicist, I'm an atheist, and it's a hell of a thing to do to someone who thinks like I do, right? And that's what my book is about, is like trying to understand in like rational terms, like what was that I experienced?
I think a lot of folks who, are science-based, who feel like there is an explanation or at least some sort of order to things, really struggle with this.
Well, we don't want to lead these lives that seem so meaningful and rich and important and just think, okay, when we're dead, it's as if it never happened, we're gone, right? That's hard for the human psyche to deal with. On the other hand, an eternity of consciousness is a little weird to contemplate as well. And so where I sort of land, I'm still an atheist, but where I sort of land is that there may be at the sort of quantum level, the subatomic level, and there's some pretty interesting discussions among scientists around this. There may be some kind of post-death existence that we just don't understand and maybe cannot understand.
Like energy continues in some way.
Listen, we're up against the limitations of language to describe something very mysterious. But yes, something along those lines, which for me, mysticism, spirituality is just the words for physics we don't understand yet. And there may be a physics to all this that we don't or can never understand. It may just be beyond our knowledge.
And not to get too deep into this, but I think that is a great way of looking at it. I know a lot of physicists and people who are involved, and when you talk to them about the mystical, there is no, it doesn't exist. But yet this is still people talking about what is dark matter. So how do we share both?
Well, the fact that the universe exists in the first place, right? It's 93 billion light years across, right? Inconceivable. And here it is. We have no explanation for how or why. What I'll say is that an awful lot of people, and of course I researched this afterwards, an awful lot of people have what are called NDEs, near-death experiences.
Right.
They often involve the dead coming to sort of usher them into the beyond. I didn't know I was dying. I was not happy to see my father. When he said, you can come with me, I was like, what are you talking about? You're dead. I'm alive. I'm not going anywhere with you. It was not comforting whatsoever. And I said to the doctor, you got to hurry. I'm going. I'm leaving right now.
You told the doctor.
I told it. I was still conversant, right? And there my father was. And it was a very, very confusing moment. So it's not like I was unconscious and had a sort of dream.
Right.
Right? I was there, and there he was above me, and I didn't remember it until the next morning in the ICU. They managed to save me, barely. The next morning in the ICU, the nurse said, "You almost died," and that's when I remembered my father. And I thought, oh my God, like what do I do with this?
Yeah. Well, you know what also freaks me out is the black pit, but don't get me, it's not going to keep me up at night. Right. I do want to ask you two things. First off, does it change how you feel about dying in any way? Does it make it less scary?
I have two young children. I came to fatherhood late, two little girls. Yeah. So for me, dying means leaving them and my wife. And that's too painful to contemplate.
I get that.
But on this sort of like mortality level, I think if there's something more than just a biological reality that ends when we die, if there's something more than that, I imagine it revolves around the mystery of consciousness. And there are some really interesting theories about how there is a kind of universal consciousness. And scientists are talking about this, right? A kind of universal consciousness that we're part of, and we return to that when we die. And that is all, again, at the quantum level. This isn't woo-woo stuff. This is real, scientists trying to understand things, right? So that to me, and is there some comfort there? Yes, there is.
Yeah, I feel that too. There are more things in heaven or earth than are dreamt of in our philosophies, right? Yes. I mean, I know I need to let you go, but I have one more question. Can I have one more question? Yes, I'm going to just take it. Does it make you live more in the present, having been through this experience?
Absolutely. We forget to experience living. We are on our phones, we're planning the vacation, we're whatever, and we forget that we exist in this moment right now, and it's not to use a religious-sounding word, but it's a miracle. Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come here and chat with us about this. And by the way, just a reminder, Sebastian is speaking at Town Hall tonight, Tuesday, May 28th at 7:30. Head to Town Hall's website for ticket info.